Good evening and welcome to the Town of Belleville Planning Board meeting of December 7th, 2023. It is 6:02 and we're going to start with a call to order and a roll call. So tonight at the meeting, we have Mrs. Penny Morale, Mr. Richard Baker, Mr. Nick Sakaro, Mr. Peter Surgeon, Mr. Craig Alexander, and Mr. George Seal, and Rasmussen, and myself, Sarah Langed. We have quite a quorum here in the audience, so I will kindly ask for each one of you to identify yourselves. Want to start with Kathy?
Carol Johnson,
Yeah,
Christine Emmons.
Andy Atkinson.
Diane Oliver,
Andy Dunbar.
all right.
Eric Hogan.
Lynn Matson.
Phyllis Manson.
Thank you so much. We do this roll call for a secretary. And she looks at the video and she do the minutes from there. Thank you. So in new business, tonight we have the application from the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village. The location of the permit request is gonna be in the Main Street. We can locate that at map 25 lot 6. And the purpose is a commercial development for a public parking area. All right, so we have all the paperwork here and before starting with a checklist to deem the application complete, I will open the floor for comments from the board. Anybody has a comment?
I don't have any comments, but we may want to also have Andy kind of do a little presentation on what's being done.
I guess Andy's ready,
A
sure.
little introduction.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Kathy, do you actually, I'd like to just talk about our group just for a second. I have a very, very short introduction.
Sure.
And then I'd like to bring our expert on there. Again, my name is Kathy Atkinson and I'm here representing the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village. We are excited to be here tonight. Happy to have the opportunity to have made the work and gotten it done to be able to bring it forward to you. So that's why we're here tonight. You know us when Route 27 was redone with the Maine DOT. We're the group that brought you the brick sidewalks, the night sky friendly lighting, the pedestrian lighting, the benches, and the bike racks. It was always in our vision to have a parking lot to benefit the public in our town. Now we're happy to tell you we've reached the point where we're ready to bring that to you. Let me tell you the major steps that we've done to get here tonight. Number one, we commissioned an engineer to do a professional parking study. The results of that study, which are available to you, which have been printed out in the select board minutes and are available, firmly stated that public parking is very much needed in the village. And he also identified that the site that we've been looking at and have been considering would actually be ideal. So the first thing we did was to commission a professional parking study. The next thing we did was then, with that information, to secure the desired lot. We have the lot under a purchase and sale agreement, the documents you see in your packet. The third thing we did was that we engaged their engineering to develop the professional materials that you would need and to meet all of the requirements. And then finally, what we've done is to complete the commercial application so that we could be here tonight. The parking lot that we're bringing to you is a natural partner for the Village Green, which is such a popular site in town and brings a lot of people together in good community activities. So in closing, let me say that we are here to tell you that we are committed to purchasing this property, raising the funds, developing the parking lot itself, and then gifting it to the town. So you've already had the people on our board introduce themselves, except Eric wasn't here, but yes, he was. He was in here by that time. And now, our professional engineer can do his part. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Andy Dunbar from Thayer Engineering. And I've got a colored up version of the site plan that you've got in your packet. Is this a good spot for everybody on Zoom and all that? Okay, yeah, so this property sits in the triangle between Augusta Road and West Road. And as you come from the point, you come up through the park that's now been deeded to the town. And this would be the next lot up the hill from it, where there's an existing self-storage building at this time. And so I've kind of gone around the boundaries in hot pink on here. Existing storage buildings in blue. And then I've gone around the proposed improvements in yellow. And it consists of parking area, opening up access to West Road, and then a walkway with stairs and paths to come down to the existing gravel parking lot down on the town property, the existing town property. On that existing parking lot, we're gonna designate 3 handicap spaces. And there'll be signs for that. And essentially, the footprint for the parking area already exists at this time. It's all a gravel filled lot, and we're just gonna, get it to drain toward each of the roadways where there are good ditches to accept the drainage. We did apply for an entrance permit from DOT, which is in your packet. Don't know if we really needed it or not, but it's a kind of a change in use from a storage facility with a big gravel lot to designated parking. And so on here in green, we've kind of shown the vegetated areas. So if you're down in the park and you're familiar, there's a wooded edge that comes around into a kind of little alcove in the back there where there are 3 benches and a stone with a plaque with a E.B. White statement on there. And then the current edge of woods comes around like this, and then right out to West Road along the bottom of a row of big boulders, and just above the existing gravel parking lot, then there's a small drainage ditch there. And we are gonna do a drainage ditch on this side to collect this portion of the drainage that comes off, and funnel it down to the ditch at West Road. The entrance coming in from West Road, there is a historic entrance that's been there. There's an existing culvert in the ditch that we're gonna keep in place and keep using. And there's actually a paved apron that comes off the side of the road and just about to the property line. And then, so when they graded off the area for the self-storage, they leveled this area and kind of terminated use on the West Road entrance for the time being. So we're just gonna open that back up and grade back into the lot a little bit so that we've got a decent grade to come up. And in addition, we're gonna move in the vegetated buffers. Essentially, these dark green areas, the four of them, are gonna be new expansions to the existing vegetation that's out there, so, you know, behind this is vegetated. And this is vegetated, this you run into the state's right of way. And so it's, all in all, we think a fairly de minimis change from an environmental standpoint. There's gonna be a net decrease in impervious areas by 3,378 feet. There's gonna be a net increase in vegetated cover by about 245 square feet when we take this into account, what's gonna get opened up, and then afterwards, there's gonna be revegetation coming back in around it. And so essentially, you know, outside the area where you see the solid contours, there's really gonna be no earthwork at all. Coming down from the path, there's gonna be a bit of a cut. Because right now it comes to a sharp edge, and then it's a steep drop, so we're gonna have a set of stairs to navigate the first portion. Then there's gonna be a level pathway that's gonna drop about 1 foot in elevation from the bottom of these stairs to the top of those. And then these stairs are gonna go down about 4 feet. And then there's gonna be a level path that's gonna hook to the existing parking area. The surfacing for the path is gonna be essentially gravel, just like the existing parking area and the path that goes down through the park. This curve up on the top is that sitting wall up above the gazebos, just to kind of give you a little perspective. And at this point in time, the gravel areas or the parking areas get proposed to be gravel. If fundraising makes it possible, it probably will be paved. And in addition to, you know, the ease of use and maintenance, the paving is also gonna allow for designation of parking spaces. It's a little tough to do on gravel. So people just gonna have to fit themselves in the short term. And then if and when it becomes paved, we can really delineate some precise parking spaces. And, yeah, so that's essentially the general concept.
Andy, there's some lighting in there possibly and some.
Yeah, let's see, as far as existing lights go on the site, on the building, there's luminaires on each end, the center on the side, and 2 luminaires on the south. And the proposed lighting is all gonna be on the north side. It's gonna be one by this entrance, one by that entrance, and then 3 across the top.
But those storage is gonna be gone, right?
The whole building's gonna be gone, yeah, so the lights will go with it, so those are all going away. And so going forward, there'll be those 5 along there. And so on this side here, you've got the town park, then you've got 2 residential properties on the south. Dan and Charlie McCandlish just purchased this one recently. Stephen and Karen Hardy own this one here. And it's kind of a residence consulting, counseling type business that they run on theirs. This one here is strictly residential. Along the McCandlish boundary, there is an existing stockade fence. And continuing, we're gonna recommend continuing that stockade fence across to Route 27, Augusta Road, to provide screening there and attention to the vegetation that's already there. Anything else come to mind? Anybody? was spoken to, signage. There's only gonna be some directional signage, and it's gonna steer. It's gonna say that it's a parking lot, but it's also gonna say when you come into this entrance, that handicap parking is down at the lower parking lot. And there'll be a sign down there identifying the same. There'll be 3 handicap signs at the head of each parking space down on the lower lot. And we'll have a, similar sign out on 27 as on the West Road, designating it as a parking area and steering people to the lower lot for handicap. But that's, as far as signs go, that's it. Nothing illuminated. Essentially just those directional type signs. Peter?
Then a question, security. In the event that there's a question by someone from Farm Park there, a few other people parking there, something comes up, you can't do this, you can't do that. Who do you call? I mean, who's controlling this?
Well, it's hopefully gonna become property of the town of Belgrade.
Okay.
So you
So
can call down here.
I'm here in time. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the interim, come the summertime, is a kind of an issue arises, would it be with the town by then? By the summer?
I'm not sure when. Perhaps Carol, you can speak more to the intended
We will not,
conveyance
yeah,
plan.
excuse me, we won't have it ready for a town vote at town meeting. So our plan, if everything goes right, is we will, when we do the vote to school board in June, we'll have it ready for a warrant, so it'd be turned over to the town upon their acceptance of it in June. I think it's usually the 12th or 14th, somewhere in that second week in June.
Okay.
And we hope to have it ready to be able to have the warrant, so it can be accepted.
And that warrant's gonna discuss how much it's gonna cost to maintain it. It's gonna cover how much it's gonna cost to maintain it and all that from year to year, when you make a presentation to the town.
We can certainly do that. I mean, we haven't written the warrant
Yeah,
yet, but
that'll come up.
yeah,
I'm from North Belgrade, they'll ask that question.
yeah. You need to start coming to the concerts.
Right, so, I just wanna let you know.
So only 5 lights on the
Correct.
northern, there will be no on the southern.
Correct, yes.
There'll be very little maintenance because it's not gonna be plowed in the winter time, it's just for summer use, so. It's
That's
gravel.
good, yeah, those issues will come up during the, town meeting, I'm sure.
So I suspect there's handicap access from that handicap parking lot to
Yes,
the green.
yes, there's an existing paved path system.
I
or not
usually use
paved,
the other side of the
crushed stone.
park. Okay,
That is at a very minimal grade that essentially comes from the handicap parking lot, comes around, and it's got a spur over to the gazebo and the sitting wall. And it takes a gentle curve all the way around and comes to the crosswalk
okay,
on Route 27,
right,
right by School Street.
all
I
right.
can't remember which side of School Street it's on. I tend to think it's on the south side.
No, that's good. So I heard some stairs from the
Yes.
55 place, parking lot place to the handicap. area.
Correct.
Is there handicap access there too? Is that needed?
That's not part of the current proposal. That's
Okay.
why we put the handicap parking
Down there.
down here to accommodate that. We had looked at some schemes,
We don't have any code that needs that, is what I'm getting at.
right? No, as long as we've got
Designated area.
accommodation.
Sarah, everyone that's gonna park in the new parking lot is gonna go down to the park. That's the way that everyone's gonna flow from the upper parking lot down. So the best place to put handicap people is already down at that lower level, so they don't have to negotiate that. So they're all gonna be going into the park or into the village that direction. So by far the best place to put those handicap places is at the lower level to start with.
That's a bigger parking lot than, that would hold just 3, right? I mean, 3 can be handicapped, but there's more.
Right,
there.
for handicap spaces, the sizing is larger.
Right,
Plus, between each handicap space, you have to have a whole space just for side access to the handicap.
Mhm.
So I've got a handicap space, the crosshatch side access area, another handicap space, another crosshatch side access area. And so, you know, they can come out the side of a vehicle and on a wheelchair ramp and all that. There's plenty of room for that.
But I'm talking
And
about this side of that, there's more, there's
There-
room for some more, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andy, do you want to talk about the, where the porta potties would go and the
Okay.
space and the
We'll pick up that
access?
space, I think.
So.
right now, they've been put over on the edge of this existing gravel parking area. And we're proposing to move them over to the backside
Okay.
of that existing gravel parking area. And what they'll probably do is span the little ditch that runs down through there with some timber, with a timber frame to set them onto it. So the drones will go right through and then they'll be able to come right at grade to the porta potty, so they can be handicapped accessible as well.
All right. Very good.
George?
Eddie, I assume one of the two goals of this parking lot is not only to serve the needs of the Village Green, but also the commercial
The town-
establishments
The
downtown.
town as a whole.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, I can't quite in my mind's eye visualize how will pedestrians make their way from the parking lot to further down, further to the north of the village? Will they have to go through the park? Obviously, you don't want them crossing Route 27.
Right, they can come right down through, down the path over to the crosswalk on 27, and it's brick sidewalk both ways from
Right,
there, all the way
okay.
down through to the village.
All right, I couldn't quite
Yeah.
remember.
George, one of the other things about this is, if you've been down through the village when we have events, whether it's craft fairs or whatever, people are parking on both sides of the West Road.
Yeah.
And they're parking on both sides of Lake Shore Drive.
Mhm.
And if you had an event to get emergency vehicles through, you really can't, and yet there's no place for those people to park. So by opening up onto the West Road, that allows to get those vehicles out of,
Yeah.
it's a real safety issue on that end too.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
And hopefully get them from parking on both sides of 27, because if if you come through when the events are leaving, people are just going to their cars and cars are coming over the hill. So hopefully this will get people into safe parking areas. Before we have a
So there are
problem.
gonna be no parking signs on both sides of the triangle, meaning on 27 to the.
That's not a part of our proposal,
Yeah, that's the town's.
but that would be kind of a municipal function. And hopefully, they might see fit, once they see how this
Hmm.
works,
Hmm.
to possibly eliminating.
I mean, the town doesn't have a parking ordinance at this point in time, so.
That's state control anyways, isn't it?
Oh, well, 27 will be for another West Road.
Well, 27 is the state, but West Road is the county road.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, and so in addition to the permit that we've gotten from the state to address the 27 access, you'll also see in your package that we did get Jason Stevens, your road commissioner, to provide a statement on accessing West Road.
Right,
So actually, that's the old rec center lot.
I'm sorry,
That's the old, it's not the old, because, coming in from the West Road, there was an access to the old rec center that was on that.
no, that's a separate entrance.
Isn't that?
That's
like,
separate.
Just down below
Yeah, it's farther south.
these
Yeah,
two
further out.
properties here?
Oh, okay,
And there was through access at one point in
Yeah.
history.
yeah.
I know the property owner that closed off the West Road exit. She just got tired of dealing with it, and she just dumped the gravel bed.
Yeah.
So that was too far off in the past.
So it's just a prior owner of the storage units, didn't want to access there, but the access has been there forever.
Any other questions?
Not at this point.
Great presentation.
Thank you. I had a good starter.
Is there anything else that we can provide for you or?
Well, we need to go through our checklist to make sure we have a complete application. I don't know if Andy's explained the process to you, but it's a two-step process, you know, tonight. The goal of the meeting is exclusively to determine if we have a complete application that we can proceed with. And then at the next meeting, between now and the next meeting, everybody that owns property within 500 feet of your property lines will be notified so that the public has an opportunity to comment if they so desire. And we'll take up the substance of the application and, you know, and compare it against the performance standards of the ordinance at that time and make our decision. So it's like I said, a two-step process.
I've got a question. Does the board have the latitude to waive a public hearing?
No,
No, okay.
it ain't a hearing per se,
It's kind of a-
but
it's a
we
kind of a
don't have the
minimal
authority to
situation,
waive
a
the
minimal
public
change.
notice,
Yeah.
and nor would we want to. And probably you don't want us to either in the long term, that's the reality of it.
Can I ask why the question?
One meeting.
Yeah, is there really a need for a public hearing on this project? And I'm just wondering if the board asks themselves that question.
I was kind of wondering, what's kicking us into the commercial development analyst, because, nothing's really changing other than the pathway. When a building coming down, there's no impervious, there's less impervious. There's parking where there's already parking. There's access where there's already access. So why is this, I was kind of wondering why this is in front of us. And Han's not issuing this permit.
Change of use of the commercial property, it falls outside the scope of the enforcement.
Yeah, I believe the potential larger amount of traffic compared to a self-storage place throws it. Makes it meet the definition of change in use, which comes to the planning board versus the code enforcement officer.
That was a very good question there.
May I ask a question? So for our planning purposes, should we expect to come to the next meeting and answer questions? How do we proceed with you?
So tonight we're gonna go through a checklist to deem the application complete. That triggers the invitation to the voters for the next meeting. If they wanna, have any, expression or concern or whatnot, usually that doesn't happen. We're very good friends here in Belgrade. So in that meeting, then we'll go through the finding of facts for the ordinance. And we go through those, and if those pass all the yeses, then we issue the permit. So in 2 weeks, if everything goes, flawless, you will have the permit.
Great.
So at the next meeting, we'll be definitely potentially getting into the weeds. And so we, you know, I assume Andy will be here, whether the rest of you wish to come to help answer questions. I mean, the board probably will have some questions, you know, it remains to be seen how detailed there are. I mean, overall, my first impression is this is a very good application compared to many that we get, so. You know, if it isn't written on the back of a McDonald's, napkin, we're happy.
All right, so let's proceed with the checklist. I had to read this just because, for the public record. So this is a Belgrade Commercial Development Review Ordinance Application Submissions Checklist. The applicant name is Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village. The development name is a parking lot. It's gonna be next to the Green Village, the Village Green. The fee was paid, it's $100. And, we'll start with the first line into the application submission. So we have the application form and that is complete. Applicant's agent authorization letter. We don't need that, do we? It's not applicable.
Yes,
Not applicable. The applicant agent authorization letter, we don't have that and we don't need it.
You do that,
that's an A.
That's in it, yeah. Copy of deed, option, sales agreement, lease and other documentations of title, right or interest, and that's completed, that's here. Written waiver request, that's NA, so it's NA,
There isn't any.
there is an N, okay. Copy of tax map of property. That's complete. Copy of Kennebec, company soil map of property. That's complete too. Can somebody back me up on that one? I think I saw that.
I couldn't find it
What
in my packet.
Soils map?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw it in, they're just. Better.
oh, I found it, yeah, it's in there, yep, yep.
BKB.
that was great.
It's in there. You got,
Yep,
you've essentially got two checklists, and I think I put them in the order of the first one, so stuff may be a little out of order.
okay,
keep us on our toes.
Yeah.
that's good. Copy of USGS topographic map showing property location.
Yep.
That's complete. Copy of Belgrade shoreline zoning map showing property location. That's complete. Copy of flood insurance map showing property. That's complete. Copy of national wetlands inventory map showing property. That's complete. Copy of main geological survey significant sand and gravel aquifer map showing property location. That's complete. Copy of main drinking water program map of public drinking water supplies showing property location. That's NA, isn't it?
Yep.
Copy of NDOT highway entrance or access permit. That's NA.
I've got you.
We have that.
It's
We
in,
have that?
Yeah.
Somehow I missed it.
Quick question, I just happened to notice that, that permit is in the name of Hello Good Pie.
that's the current landowner,
Oh, okay,
and so Hello Good Pie is under contract with the Friends,
okay,
so that gives Friends standing.
yep,
And so we've given a copy of Hello Good Pie's deed. And we've given you a copy of the purchase and sale agreement between the two parties.
okay, all right, yep, no, I was just curious, the
We should have
difference
to
between the
change the-
applicant's name and
Yeah.
and Hello Good Pie.
And there's also a copy of a letter from Sherry Hamilton, who owns Hello Good Pie.
Right,
That was in the.
yeah, no, it's not a problem, I was just curious.
Yeah.
And there's actually 2 driveway permits, one for West Road too.
Okay.
They're both in there.
Thank you. Copy of MDOT traffic movement permit and traffic movement study.
It should be an NA.
Copy of required state and local permits.
That should be NA, because other than the DOT, there aren't any other permits required. It's not shoreline zoning, so there's no other town ordinance.
1/24/36 site development plan drawn to scale. Showing at a minimum the following:
Yeah, we have that right there.
scale, narrow, arrow, parcel boundaries, location and dimensions of existing and proposed buildings and structures. So, that's complete. Three more pages. Okay. Detail to scale drawing showing location and construction specification of drainage, that's the same,
Yeah, no, it's all shown on the site plan.
okay. It's complete too. Documentation meets applicable state, federal air quality regulations requirements. That's in it.
NA.
Soil erosion control plan,
Yeah, that it's also part of the site.
It's the second sheet, from the sheet.
complete. NDEP certified contractor name. That's to be announced, isn't it?
That's to be determined upon selection of the contractor.
So we can handle that as a condition of approval. And often do.
Location, site, structure listed on National Register of Historic Places. NA.
So the self-storage place is a historical
Yeah.
structure. I mean, it's been there a while, but.
Is that still, is it operating or it's still operating? Yeah.
It's winding down.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I won't go apply for her.
It's gotta be history.
Local, ME, Historical Preservation Commission, archaeological sites. NA. Information needed to meet air quality standards. NA. Information needed to meet access to public street standards.
That's complete. In the application.
Protection measures for historic and archaeological resources. NA. Estimated quantity of flammable, combustible, hazardous substances to restore, handle, generated, including waste oil and antifreeze. You don't have fireworks there, do you? So that's NA too. Evidence meets MDP seating regulations for oil storage, hazardous substances facilities. NA. Copy of application provided by fire chief, by planning board or CEO, to the fire chief by planning board CEO.
We have,
So
it's
that,
included.
they've already done that.
Yeah, we,
Yeah.
And that's
and he
supplemental.
responded with a letter that's in the.
Yeah. We just
in the
have to
supplement.
Right.
All the information needed to meet material storage standard, including bulk storage of combustible and flammable materials and hazardous substances. NA. Visual impact assessment. That's NA, is it?
Yes.
Plan based on IF and W critical areas program recommendations to mitigate impact on natural areas and wildlife habitat, including deer wintering areas.
And that's the last sheet in that, in the supplement I gave you tonight, is that.
So that's complete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other information needed to meet natural resource protection standard.
That's NA.
That's it.
Exactly, critical habitat. Thing.
Two more pages here. Is board requiring post-development or noise monitoring and reporting plan? NA.
Question about that?
Sure.
Noise monitoring and reporting, shouldn't that be Monitor?
Usually,
You're talking a lot of people.
Yeah, it's still gonna be well under the decibels that
Yeah,
require monitoring. That monitoring would be like, for an industrial or
Yeah.
something that's gonna cause a lot of noise. Cars
manufacturing.
moving in and out are causing a lot of noise.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Information needed to meet noise standard, NA.
Actually, we have that in the application, that they're not gonna exceed the standard.
Complete. Exterior lighting plan and specifications for lighting fixtures. We saw that where the lights are gonna be. Do we have a spec for the lamps and all that kind of stuff?
So the application includes, information that it won't exceed the standard at the property line. And, we got tonight a correction of the application in terms of the number of lamps.
Right.
Originally it was 3, now it's
Fine.
5, or I should say it was inconsistent. One place it said 3 and 5 originally, and now it's 5 across the board.
And there's also a note on the plan, that the exterior light fixtures shall be full cutoff fixtures. Outdoor light poles shall be a maximum of 25 feet in height, including the base.
So that's
And
right.
so it's gonna be downcast, it's not gonna be creating light pollution into the sky.
All right. Thank you. So that's complete. Is board requiring post-development light monitoring or reporting plan? That's NA. Information to meet parking standard. Complete. Written statement from the fire chief on capacity of fire department to provide adequate protection. That's NA.
Actually, we have that.
We have that,
Yeah.
okay? I'm thinking always manufacturing, so.
Normally we don't at this point.
Right, complete. Written statement from Sheriff's Department approving any proposed security measures.
That's NA.
Other information to meet public safety and emergency services standard. NA?
Yes.
Information to meet screen of structures, parking lots, and other non-residential uses standard.
We have that
Complete.
in the site plan.
To scale profile view of proposed signs.
NA.
NA. Other information to meet sign standard. That will be NA.
Yeah.
Stormwater management plan.
You have it as the second sheet.
Complete. All information to meet, stormwater management standard.
We have that.
Complete. Surface waste disposal site evaluation form.
NA.
Can somebody review with me that exactly what that will entail? The HHE 200,
That's a separate.
There's no septic.
that's a septic, thank you. All the information to meet waste standard. NA? Groundwater quality and quantity impact assessment.
NA.
That will be NA too,
Yes.
thank you. Copy of the restrictions related to drinking water and groundwater protection. NA,
That's,
almost to the last page here. Copy of main drinking water program, for water supply approval and source water protection plan. NA,
Correct.
copy of MDEP stormwater management permit.
Nay.
NA. Phosphorus export control method.
Is that on the site plan, Andy?
The mechanics behind it are, and we essentially told you that we've got
Reduction.
a net reduction in impervious areas and an increase in vegetated areas.
Right. So I noticed
We're
in the
considering it as an
application
NA.
that you were looking for, the table that used to be there
Yeah,
was, eliminated about a year
pounds
and
per
a half
acre.
ago.
okay, yeah,
If you look closely at the ordinance was amended to rely on DEP's tables that are in the, best management practices manual. And so I bring it up only so that you can fill that in between now and the next meeting.
okay, yeah, that's not,
Yeah, it is. The problem was that you don't, amend ordinances very often, so consequently, the numbers in the ordinance were, very out of date.
So we're waiting for that information then.
It's just a
The
matter
pound
of
per
minor
acre
correction
figure for
in the
Long Pond.
application.
Okay, so I got a question now that this is brought up. It was mentioned that originally it's gonna be gravel,
yes.
but then it's gonna be paved.
It may be paved at some point in the future.
But our plan is not to pave it at this time. Everything is dependent upon the fundraising. The plan that we're presenting is for a gravel parking lot. Everything here is directed to that.
Would gravel versus pave would change those the phosphorus export control method? It's just for my knowledge.
Oh, phosphorus control?
Yeah,
No.
they're both
No.
impervious.
okay. We
They're
just,
both looked at
And gravel,
similar.
active gravel versus pavement. I mean, both are considered impervious surfaces.
so I marked that complete or just waiting for it? Just make a circle, like we're waiting for it then.
We'll provide that number.
Yeah, that's all it is providing a number in the application that's currently. So.
Question?
It's certainly nothing that should hold up the process.
Okay,
Penny's has a question.
sure. Ms. Morales?
Does that mean that the town will inherit it as a gravel and then seek for the town to pave it when it does?
But that would be up to the town to decide what it would do ultimately. Our plan is to present a gravel driveway, a parking lot. You know, should the fundraising be so extraordinary that there was, funds to do paving at this time, then we would come back to you and talk about the difference between the gravel and the paving and the requirements that would be
I
necessary.
don't think you'd have to,
Sorry?
you wouldn't have to.
Well, actually, I'm not sure I agree with that. You minimum have to probably get a permit from, permit with the code enforcement officer.
Okay,
Say it would be just changing one impervious surface to another, so.
Right, so why would that be permitted?
Well, I'm just going by what's in the ordinance
What's the
for
ordinance?
paving.
Paving?
Yeah, if you. Well, Craig may be right. I'm not sure, but let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
Right.
all right, thank you. So I'm gonna mark that, complete. We just need that number. All right. All information to meet water quality standards. That's NA,
I would say that's complete.
that's
So,
complete.
based on what's in the site
Do
plan.
we agree on that?
Mhm.
All right. Supplemental site plan requirements for mineral extraction operations. NA.
Everything else is NA from
We're on-
on this table,
Yeah.
because it's all applies to
So-
mining and.
The rest of the checklist is basically applied to mining, mining extraction, designs for petroleum storage, telecommunication towers. We don't have any of that. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 slots that are gonna be not applicable. Just for the record.
Now putting a wind turbine out there,
No plans of it.
Depends on funding.
And then the last page, we have, hiring of engineer by town, an application spans to document road conditions prior to use, damage, and damage after use. That was part of the,
Those three apply to wind turbines.
so last three are not applicable as well in the application, page 38. So, that said, I think, I think the planning board deems the application complete. And I always get hung up in this portion of the process, because are we supposed to vote to agree that the application is complete,
Yes,
right? So I will entertain a motion to, that fact.
I'll make a motion, that the, application, for the, parking lot for the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village is complete.
So we have a motion from Mr. Seal, a second,
I'll second it.
Mr. Sakara will second it, so we'll go to vote. So, Mr. Sakara,
Yes.
Mr. Surgeon,
Yes.
Mr. Seal,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes,
and me, Sarah Longet, I vote yes too, so it's 5 in favor, no one opposed, and the application is deemed complete. So, the next steps are to, request, the abutters, have a letter to abutters, letting them know that, this application is, in process and that they have the opportunity to come forward to the, town next meeting. So,
And that's something Hans is gonna take care of. It's not your responsibility.
Thank you for clarifying.
That
And is
goes
that a
to
6
all
o'clock meeting
landowners
again
within
next time?
500 feet. I'm sorry.
6 o'clock next time.
6 o'clock next time.
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Good.
Very strong application.
Are we excused?
Yes.
We go home.
I didn't even know that I have to let you guys go home.
Thank you. We wanted to make sure you didn't need us for anything else.
That's what happens here.
Thank you. It's a very exciting project.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Carol, no excuse for you.
Huh?
No excuse for you.
Yeah.
So should we take like a 5-minute break? Please, so
Well done.
we're gonna be up at
7.
7, yeah. So I'm gonna train you past.
Is this yours too?
This is yours. Richard,
That's
Oh.
supplemental to the package.
Okay, so this is mine.
This was on the template.
Yeah. Got it. Can I get that plate back? Can I give you this one? Yeah.
So in this case, if you don't want bond, that's where it goes.
She has one,
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
So, we're done with that new business. The application with the commercial development application for the, public parking area, that's done. The, in that process, we have the application being complete. And now we're going to all business. And, this is a KB cog LD 2003. And, with that, I gotta say that I did receive a communication from the select board, asking us if we're gonna be in good shape to be able to, redo this ordinance or massage this ordinance, the ordinance, the way we have to do it to comply with the requirements, the state requirements, so we can put it to the voters in the summer session. That will be in June. So, so far I do remember with this, LD 2003, we were ready in terms that we were waiting for KB cog, and KB cog is not giving us a time to, work with them yet. And as I do remember, the timeline is 6 months. So we have to be ready to start the whole process, wrap up our process, to start the process like no later than maybe the first or the second week in January. So, I guess it'll depend on if KB cog can get us between now and then, and with the holidays, I'll see that kind of tight myself.
Yeah, so you saw in your board packet, the response we got from
Yeah.
KB cog, from Jessica Cobb, their planner. Lorna also contacted them, as it turns out. In addition to us, sort of, I on our behalf, and got a similar response. They don't know. It's interesting to note that, when we talked to KB cog previously, we were the second in the queue. Now we're apparently the third. I don't know if that's just a misspeak or what, but you know, I knew Solon was ahead of us. And you know, I think Jessica is their only planner. And I know, those of you that get the newspaper, you probably saw too, that they're working on a mining ordinance for Winthrop. That's quite controversial, so they got other things on their plate. Lorna asked us in an email whether, well, first off, I guess there's been discussion about whether or not we could have something ready by mid-January, as you said, to go to town meeting. I think the answer is hell no. There's no what friggin' way. We would have to have a really good draft today. And then one more meeting to finalize it. And, you know, it just ain't gonna happen, even if we went on. And I personally don't feel like we know enough to be able to do it on our own. But it's possible though that we're not gonna get assistant, I mean, given the kind of response we got from KB cog, which really isn't I didn't find very helpful, because it doesn't say, well, we're not gonna we'll get to you in 6 weeks, or, 8 weeks, or whatever. It doesn't allow for much planning on our part, and, the question that it raises, and then Lorna sort of implies this in her email, is at some point, do we need to, try to do this on our own without KV Cog's assistance? And, that seems like maybe we haven't talked about the substance of this since August, but,
I thought we went as far as we could.
yeah,
And then
right,
we have a list
and
of
we've
questions.
developed some questions for KV Cog, which is sort of in line with what Lorna was asking. She called it a punch list, which punch list means something different to me in a construction term, but, one thing that would be, going to March count meetings just totally out of the picture as far as I'm concerned. It's just totally unrealistic. For me, I'd like to see us do a good job rather than a shitty job. I think it would be helpful to ask, maybe, whether Hans or you do it, Sarah, to find out from Lorna what the timeline is by which we have to meet, to get it on the warrant for the June
And we,
vote.
from June back is about 6 months. Our job have to be done 6 months ahead.
In the past, it was more, usually we had to have it to the select board,
Yeah, so,
like mid-April or late April is what I recall, but I'm not positive of that.
I will check my notes on that, but last time we did this with the solar ordinance. From the moment, we finished to the moment it got in the, voting, it was it 4 months or 6 months? Who did this time, the time was, Mr. Wilson that time. And we finished, we wrap it up like it was the second week in May, or either that or the first week in June, and then it made it to the November ballot. So, June, July, August, September, October, November, 6 months.
Yeah, it'd be worth, asking, because,
I'll go
I
check
remember
that.
it differently in terms of the timeline,
So the hand rule number that I remember when we wrap it up is 6 months forward to get in the ballot, in the ballot. So if we were talking June to get in the ballot in June, back 6 months by January, the first, second week in January, we have to be wrapped up, our work have to be wrapped up. So that means it's not gonna be in June, it's gonna be in the November, most likely, if anything, because we're gonna miss that deadline. I'll double check on that.
yeah.
Because I don't know if it has to be 6 months. They might have just followed 6 months because we didn't make it for the June, so that added a few months to it. So it may not have to be 6 months, it may be 3 or 4.
So for example, if we, were in a position, and had finished our own work or with KV Cogs, say by now, usually the deadline to get it onto the March warrant is like January 15th. And that allows for the time required for posting the public hearing, allows for the meeting with the select board, and those kinds of fixed time frames that go into the process.
So you think if we will make it, if we will have it now, it will make it for the March?
Yeah,
Voting.
as long as we got it to the select board by, so that's January 15th or so.
Okay, so if we.
So
then for
that's
June-
why I'm questioning the 6
Maybe you're
month
right.
timeline.
Sure, well, I'll double check on that.
But, I mean,
So then we have time if KV Cup get us and we can have it done by
Well,
March.
yeah, hopefully they'll be available, and, you know, I mean, we always have less time than we think we do. It's like anything else in life.
I was wondering,
Any other question, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Penny.
Penny had a question.
I understand that it's been
Move to 2025.
25, so why are we hurrying now? And the reason I remember KV Cog said, different towns have different ordinances, so it's not a one size fits all.
No, it's
Why
not.
they couldn't nail it down as to when they'd be here. But I don't know why we got moved from 2 to 3, but because we don't have to have it implemented right away now, that gives us more time to do it, like you say, do it well.
Now, we got that information from, that, newspaper clip, isn't it? That is now due.
No, I was at a meeting, Wednesday,
Okay,
and there were legislators there, and they told me that it's been, the deadline has been moved to the 2025.
so that's fresh information right now this week.
Published.
Huh?
When was that published? Right now it's 2024.
No, I think it's just something new that they've done, and it gives us another whole year, because every town is running into what you're talking about right here.
Well, not only that, but if we can't agree, or we wanna make them more strict, more rigid, it's gonna delay as well. I think that she said that, right, in the email or something like that.
Yeah, right. You're right.
We don't
about
even
that.
know if we're all on the
Yeah.
same page, you know, and that could complicate things.
Well,
And
and,
that
and
might
in the
be why-
response to the town manager, it was interesting that, KV Cog mentioned that, the state grant process that funds this for them, it provides them with funding, did not allow them to start work before November 1st. I mean, it's all over but the crying at that point for town meeting, so.
Ah,
Did we conclude back when we were working with looking at the ordinances and stuff, that there's really only one ordinance that we need to deal with?
Yes, yes. Only-
Although, you know, I don't know if everybody saw it, but Penny sent along some interesting information to all of us from, Cape Elizabeth and their attorney. And it's hard to know what this really means for us, but, gave them an opinion that, that small multifamily, buildings, were impacted by this and, in terms of some kind of a site review or subdivision, you know, a review under a multi-residential dwelling unit kind of, ordinance like we have.
Yeah.
Cause our ordinance is ancient. I mean, that's a question that I would like to ask KV Cog about, you know, based on what the information you passed along, Penny, because I mean, you know, it's hard. I mean, obviously Cape Elizabeth's probably got a much more broader array of ordinances and they got a town planner and everything else, but and zoning, so, you know, it's kind of apples and oranges, but I thought that was something I picked up on the information that Penny provided, that I didn't pick up on before when we were looking at our own ordinances, so I think, I mean, that was my original, that was what I recall, that we concluded it was really only the minimum lot size ordinance that was impacted by this. But,
And I believe that section you're referencing was, has to do with section 2 of the rules, which is affordable housing density. And we don't have, you know, one affordable housing like projects that would be affected, and we don't have a lot of like 3 and 4 unit buildings. So in the rules, what I've determined, and this is me, is only section 4 applies to us, which is basically the accessory dwelling units. And it's very straightforward what the requirements are. And, well, we don't have zoning, so that section's totally out. And it just talks about the size. You know, there's a few other things mentioned that basically we have to, the municipalities must allow, but size is minimum of 190 square feet, says in size. And they're not saying footprint, but I'm assuming it means footprint. They don't want a 2-story, 8 by 20 building, you know? So, maximum is what the municipalities can set. So municipalities may set a maximum size. And that's the big debate. We do like the 2-car garage with living space above, because you do footprint. Or you decide if you want to just do living space. So footprint allows them to go upward.
Pete, I think you had something you wanted to ask or
Yeah,
say.
I was wondering, are there any, do we know at this point, through the grapevine or whatever, are there any, lakefront communities or similar to our population around here that have gotten to the point where they've come up with a draft? Do we know that, for example, maybe Rome or Smithfield or?
Does the LD 2003, does that apply to shoreline zoning? Would that?
No, it doesn't. That's one good thing.
Right, yeah, so that eliminates a lot of.
Yeah, no, that would
Yeah,
really
'cause that-
complicate
that would
things.
complicate things.
So.
I know that New Sharon have been working.
Well, Rome was voted and passed last week.
Smithfield?
Rome,
Rome passed it last week?
Well,
that's what I was told.
Really?
yeah, so.
Basically, this tells you what you gotta do right here. Not a
So
lot.
I was thinking, you know, if someone else has done it, maybe we could sort of take a look at theirs and
Yeah.
same size.
Did they use Katie Cog or they didn't? So they
No,
just,
they went by the rules and the
Yeah.
requirements. It's very specific what you gotta do.
Well, but Hans, you may recall when we went through those back in August, there were a number of questions we identified that we felt we needed to ask KV Cog.
And most of them went around the density housing.
No, it was section 4. I mean, I would, would like to make sure that we're correct in our assessment that, that this doesn't impact the multifamily dwelling unit ordinance. And for that matter, the subdivision ordinance.
If we got a hold of Rome, and who's the other town maybe?
I know the chairperson in Rome,
You get a hold of those two,
and New Sharon.
for the help.
It's interesting, I know both of them, yes.
I mean, it could be that we're making more out of this than we need to, I don't know, but,
I can take care of that, all the cheer people there. I know both.
How long is the funding for KV call, is that until it runs out? And could it be that because they've been extended, that they're not in a rush now, so they're taking more time with each town?
I personally don't know the answer to either of those questions, but I know from my own experience when I was working at DEP that when, usually was federal deadlines that we were running against, that if Congress or whatever changed that deadline, then, everything fell accordingly, went with more time, I would think, that the state might, particularly the Department of Economic and Community Development, would be somewhat amenable to, providing towns with more time, just because, the process is, I mean, it always takes more time to implement something than the legislature thinks. They have no friggin' clue. They don't. And so, I'm not surprised we're in this situation at all. I've seen it many times.
And KV Cog is not a big organization.
No, it's not.
So we got a couple of planners there that, maybe more than a couple, but not many more.
I don't know that they even have two anymore, yeah. And they've had a lot of turnover in the past too, because you may recall when we were working on our subdivision ordinance, we kind of got left high and dry at the end because their planner left.
Of course, okay.
Uh,
You don't pay enough.
I don't know what the issue is.
So I guess wrapping up then, the plan of action will be, I will be calling the chair people from Rome and New Sharon, see what they have done, and then we can reconvene next time. So in the meantime, do we have copies of that section 4 of those requirements? I think you gave it to us at one point.
Yeah.
Got more here too.
The other thing that we should do is we should confirm what the timeline is if we're gonna make the June.
You got copies for everybody?
I've checked online today, every day this week and most of last week for updates on these rules because they did change the
Okay.
Title 30.
But you got the final copy.
2023, I think that was last time, they did add a few more stipulations. They haven't changed the rules.
Section 4.
So the deadline, until I see that in writing, we have to go with 2024,
Okay,
because I have not seen that in writing.
so Penny, do you have any contact in the State House that can confirm that it's, writing that the deadline had changed?
Sure, I'll check it out and I'll get it to you and you'll get it out to the board.
Sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'd be helpful.
yeah.
Yeah.
You get the price of penny those up there.
So, I don't know, there was a lot of discussion going on. The other item that we need to, do, is, verify what our timeline is to get, finish up the first draft, ready to go to the, select board if we're gonna.
So
go.
both of those things are mine, timeline. I'll check on that. Thank you. Before we wrap up, so we have only to pay attention to section 4 here.
That's my interpretation.
Okay, so can we agree for next meeting for all of us to come, ready to plow this thing next?
So I mean, section 3, section 4, it's the same format. You got general, the requirements and, zoning. And really in section 4, the zoning, you can put an X through that since we don't have it. Everything's done on a case by case.
So if we can compromise the 7 of us to come next time on our own, have already, munch up and be prepped and in our minds, draft the best that we can do in section 4 on our own, and we come here next time, we can probably start, chipping this away next meeting.
Well,
We shouldn't be doing rework. We did this back in August.
Okay,
We've
so,
already done this back in August,
Okay.
at our August 17th meeting. We went through both section 3 and 4
okay,
and came up with questions that we had for KV cog. And reviewed what we think the DPCD rules mean or require. So, I think what we need to do is look at the write-up of the August meeting,
okay.
which I
Oh,
have.
I remember now, we had like 3 different documents, and I think this one was the one that,
You produced one, I produced
Yeah.
one,
yeah,
maybe somebody else did, Rich.
Mr.
maybe
Baker
did.
was supposed to check on the dwelling
So,
one.
there's no sense doing this more than once.
Sure, okay.
So how does, Smithfield and, the other, Rome and the other one, how can we utilize them?
So, I'll make sure that for next meeting I have the write-ups, or at least I can invite, people that work on that, on their towns to come here next meeting.
And so, when we So you gotta get a copy of those two particular
Yeah.
ordinance and then get them out to us.
I can do that to try to get that, if they actually have a draft.
Yeah, if they got a draft before, and they're all the same, fairly similar, then we can just pretty much follow along with them a little bit and change it a little bit to our needs.
So I guess then we have to look, each one of us, at the minutes of August and revisit what we did for section 4 and then come prepare for next meeting. Is that a fair thing
Yeah,
to say?
no, it does. I was thinking more about your question, Pete, and, because it is a good one, and, I mean, when I think of towns that are more similar to Belgrade, I don't really think about Rome, even though they're proximal to us, because there's such a small population compared to Belgrade. I mean,
They got half the lake,
Huh?
they got half the lake.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that, but in terms of, they don't have the same ordinances we do. And so towns like Winthrop or Naples, communities like that are closer to us in population. It might be helpful to look at see if they've done anything.
Yeah,
What about
okay.
Sydney?
Or Sydney, yeah.
Yeah.
Sydney's actually a bigger population than us now.
Can,
I think they got less ordinances though.
I will tackle contacting Rome and New Sharon.
Yeah,
Can-
I'll look at the websites for Naples and Winthrop. And see if there's anything I can discern from that.
Sounds great. I guess we got a plan.
Yeah, because it has section 3 and 4 in it, that's what we're looking at.
You need another copy?
You got a copy over there?
Right here.
Okay, what I'm looking at is a copy we had from way back when.
That should be the same. This has not been updated.
Hans, do you know, yeah, this was adopted in, last April. Are they, is DECD, revising these rules?
I don't think the rules are, but I just noticed some of these things. Are different, there's different, like City of Lewiston, Auburn, have exclusions. Subsection does not restrict the construction or permitting of accessory dwelling units constructed and identified. Just some of the dates on some of the statutes are different. And one of the requirements is that they may not go before the planning board for approval. Good news, right?
And that's the law you're looking at rather than these
Title
regulations?
30. Yep. I've highlighted a lot of what I've seen different.
I mean, if you recall, one of the series of questions I have or concerns, it's not as great as it once was, since I did go back back in August, I guess it was, and looked at the plumbing code, but questions I'll have for you, Hans, have to do with, is there a potential for a negative impact on drinking water supplies from, overburdening the groundwater with, wastewater from, additional septic systems on
Yes.
small lots?
Yep.
I don't wanna see the town of Belgrade get backed into a corner where we have to build a public drinking water supply system, for, Belgrade Lakes Village, for example, or, the depot or wherever. That's not very cost effective.
Or Surajita,
Or what?
Surajita.
Yes, it's for sewage either.
I remember that too.
So I mean, they're section 4, sub 5, it says D, it's accessory dwelling units connected to a well, proof of access to potable water, including the standards outlined and yada, land use district. I mean, they gotta have proof of potable water and adhere to all the septic. And I hear what you're saying, around here, a lot of sandy loam, stuff drops down quickly. You put a lot of septic systems in Pickham's Cove. Is our drinking water gonna be affected? It's a low water table there.
I know. We
Yeah.
just had the discussion.
We're down thinking Cove right now. They have to-
Yeah, I know.
They have four over there, but you have to get some kind of special system to make the water pure now, down there, some of those lots down there. Pinkin Cove.
Some of them have contaminated wells,
Yeah, and they have to go spend a lot of money and uncontaminate it.
and apparently some of those contaminated wells have 2 primary dwellings per lot.
Huh?
Where is this?
Jenkins
Oh,
Cove.
Jacob's Cove, yeah. What a shocker.
Took the
Been
garage,
surprised.
made a 2-bedroom apartment over it. Kitchen, the whole works.
Yeah.
You guys haven't addressed that? Apparently it's been around for a long time, because I looked in there today and it looked like an 80s motif. Cabinets and
Oh, the one that's for sale right now, or next to it?
it's been purchased, I think, 167.
Cause I looked at one of them to buy maybe, anyway. Yeah, the one that was just right next to the, as you're on that road, you go in 2 houses, that one there that sold out this summer.
Yeah, the one across the street.
Yeah, and the garage back there, you can live up there. Nice.
I would like to,
Anyways, it's sold.
to get into this conversation. Can we do that after the meeting?
Huh? Okay.
Right? So, do we have a plan for LD, 2003 that we feel comfortable with? Is everybody comfortable with it? Good. So, next item in the agenda is, the approval of the minutes of 10/19, 11/16.
Sarah, can I bring up something?
Oh, sorry.
Should we say, talking about the thing with Colin Clark, the training session, should we wait till afterwards to do that?
Can we do it after we approve the minutes?
Do the minutes first?
Do the minutes first and then we can do that? Thank you. So, what should we have, please? Oh yeah, 2 set of minutes here. Were the minutes part of the whole package that you put in the website?
They were on there.
They were on there? Okay. Somehow I missed them or something. I don't remember seeing them.
They may not have made it.
Yeah,
It
I
was
think they
slow.
came separately
Yeah,
from Caitlin.
just got these,
Oh, you emailed them to us is what you did.
did I?
Okay, I think so. That's how I went about. I just concentrated on the package in the website and forget about the email and then you did that. So that's why I don't think in the packet, they're not in the package of the website. They were in our emails. All right. Yeah, so we have minutes from November 2nd.
Those were approved at the last meeting.
Those are, those are the ones that I need, I guess. I was not at the last meeting, that's why. We ready? All right, so let's start with the minutes of October the 19th. Any, questions or discussion about those minutes?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I believe, and it may not be necessary to put in the minutes since it wasn't actually part of that meeting, but, applicant number 2, Golden Pond. That is the site that we did the property we did a site visit on, correct?
That's correct.
Should it reference that we had a site visit? Or, like I said, because this was not the site visit, this was the actual meeting, we don't need to put it in the minutes, I just wondered if it was something that should be in the minutes or not.
What, maybe should be in the minutes and was discussed then was what was found at the site visit. So, you know, maybe where it says the, planning board briefly discussed the application and the site, findings of the site visit. Or that, wait a minute, that doesn't work. The planning board briefly discussed the application that was previously reviewed. And, you know, at the end of the sentence, and, you know, the findings of the site visit.
Site visit on October 12th.
So in page 2, the first sentence there after October 5th, and findings Kayla, you should add, and findings of site visit.
And it was October 12th, so we could put site visit of October 12th.
Site visit of October 12th.
So that sentence now would read, the planning board briefly discussed the application that was previously reviewed at the planning board meeting on October 5th. And the findings of the site visit of October 12th.
Any other changes or additions? Okay, so I need a motion to approve this set of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, and second,
So that leaves us.
I'll second.
Mr. Sergeant put the motion in and Mr. Seal have a second. So let's vote on it. Mr. Sakara,
Yes.
Mr. Seal,
Yes.
Mr. Sergeant,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
and me, Sarah, and Get, was I here?
No, you weren't there.
So I gotta abstain. So 4 in favor, 1 abstain, 0 opposed. And minutes are approved for October 19th.
Are those the same ones that attended the meeting?
Mr. Seal, Mr. Sakara, Mr.
Penny was
Baker,
at the meeting. Rich was at the meeting.
yeah, Mr. Sergeant,
I
Mr.
wasn't there.
Sergeant wasn't in the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So Mrs. Sorry about this. Well, do you approve the minutes? It's yes, so we got Mrs. Morel's
And Rich.
approval,
And Rich, yeah.
and Rich. Oh, God.
Good catch.
I'll vote to.
Mr. Baker approves the minutes
I do.
too, all right.
As a
So, so we have Mrs. Morel, Mr. Baker, Mr. Seal, Mr. Alexander, and Mr. Sakara approving the minutes, so it's 5 approved. Okay, 5 that approve in favor, and that's it, that's what we needed. All right. So, I'm sorry, guys, in the last 6 weeks, I missed 2 meetings, so that's what happens when we do that. So,
How does that work if we're not part of
Alternates, yeah.
the quorum?
We only need 3, so really probably the 3 of us vote yes and you 2 abstain, and it would have been good too.
yeah, but if I was not in the meeting, I cannot vote.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
The 2 of you abstain,
Yeah.
3 of us vote, you got 3.
Yeah,
And it would be good, because I don't know, do they vote if they're alternates right now? Can
Why
they
not?
vote on the minutes?
We're not in the quorum tonight.
Right.
Yeah, we.
Oh.
So they really shouldn't be voting.
that's an
Uh,
interesting question.
Okay, then.
Yeah, I think the ordinance that got adopted last, spring, I think it really is your call as chair.
Right, that's right.
So, I would say that whoever was present should vote on the minutes. All right, so we are good on that. Next set of minutes, let's check out who was for this meeting. So I don't have to vote on these minutes either. That's one of the 2 minutes I missed. So, I know who's gonna vote here. So, any additions, discussions about this minutes of November 16th?
Just a slight one, it's not a big, I don't think it's a big deal, but if I remember correctly, I think the neighbor was in attendance as well. That meeting with Hammond.
Oh,
Billy Martin.
Billy
Yeah, Billy
Martin,
Martin.
yes, right.
You-
Yeah, well,
Good
that's
memory, I
Good
can't,
recollection.
well, I wasn't here anyways, so. So in the attendees, Billy Martin.
Yeah.
Was in attendance. That needs to be added to the minutes.
I did.
What'd you say?
I wonder if,
One of the neighbors, Billy Martin.
for both meetings. Both meetings we were not present, you and I, or probably she copied with the same lines over for both minutes. I can't remember now which meeting I missed. I missed 2 meetings in the last 6 weeks.
I know you missed this meeting.
You missed this meeting?
The one Hammond Lumber when we
Yeah.
voted on it. I think you weren't there, George.
Yeah, I
Actually
chaired the
that.
meeting.
So I guess Mr. Baker was not in this meeting then, and his show has been present. I was not there when we voted,
Yeah, we're talking about the meeting of the 16th, correct?
16, yeah.
Yeah, I think the people present are correct.
Oh, okay, good.
That was the second meeting, right? When we approved
The
this.
second.
Yeah, I was at that. Yeah.
You were at that one?
Yeah.
So you don't show up here though?
Yeah, I didn't think you were there.
No,
I don't think, yeah.
weren't you in Mass, that meeting?
Not the,
Not the first one. I was there when they was approved, we approved it, that second, that was the second time they were here. They approved, I was there, they approved. Yeah, that one there. Yeah. The first one I met, the first meeting, I, wasn't there for that one, I was having a nose job.
You weren't here when they brought in the, 5 people or whatever.
5 people?
There were about 5 people. that
Yeah.
went
Well,
Application the first time.
yeah, and then the second time they came here for the final time when we approved of it. We approved, they had another 5 people.
No, they had Don and, Mike.
Oh, it's more than that.
no, I think you're thinking of their other application.
The most recent one where they did the,
No, you weren't there for that one.
most recent one they did. When they
The
approved it,
the dry kiln.
Yeah, I was there for the dry kiln. Yeah, that was the last time they were here. That was
But
last.
it was
week,
just
right?
2 of them. It was just Don and Mike.
I was not in that meeting, so I cannot.
It wasn't the whole crowd. The whole crowd showed up
At the first meeting.
on their first application, which was for the planer mill and a storage building.
And I thought they
What month
did the
was
dry
that?
kiln.
Before you were on.
Well, I was here for 2 Hammond lumber
Oh, you were,
things.
yeah.
Yeah,
One
that
with
would,
Dawn
might have been in
was-
September or something like that.
Yeah, oh,
One of
okay.
them was a planer mill.
November 2nd.
Okay, in your meeting, do you remember you saw their daughters?
I remember that one. That was way back.
Okay,
3 months ago.
okay, that's, we'll make sure, because they had come to 4 meetings. That was way back, with the girls came with them
Yeah.
on both meetings.
Well, the bottom line is, it's easy enough for Caitlin to verify.
I'm looking at it now, you're not there.
All right, there you go. We got,
11/16. I was sitting next to you over here.
that's right.
Yeah, Penny was sitting there.
So. What day was it?
11/16, right now.
Last meeting.
Apologize for that.
You're not, it's right here.
I can't do that.
Zoom in, I show you this. There's Craig, there's George, myself, Rich and Penny.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need to know, Pete, but where the hell were you? Is the obvious question. Do you know?
There was one meeting where you stepped out for a while. I remember, but that wasn't that meeting. I think you went to the bathroom and you were
I
gone.
was at every meeting.
You were gone for a little bit. You might have missed a vote. Yeah, you weren't there.
Anyway, we're back on the
Yeah.
November 19th minutes.
We'll all vote for it.
Yeah.
So I have one suggested change, just for clarification on page 2. For the 16th, that is November 16th, and it's the write-up of the discussion of, the town attorney's opinion. And I think at the end of the first sentence, I think just so that people reading this know what ordinance we're even talking about, I think should be added in the, commercial development review ordinance. So that sentence would read, the letter addressed questions as to whether there, should be a time limit for grandfathering businesses and properties in the commercial development review ordinance. And then at the end of that paragraph, I think, simply because this was important to me, I can't speak for others, the town attorney recommended against such a requirement. In other words, a requirement, of a timeframe under which a grandfathered business might fall under the ordinance, simply because they were out of business or whatever. But anyway, so that the last sentence of that paragraph would be the town attorney recommended against such a requirement.
All right, so with that change, do we have any other, changes to this minutes? So I guess I want to take a motion to, approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes of 11/16/2023 as amended.
All right, do you have a second? Mr. Alexander, have a second. Let's go ahead and vote. So, Mrs. Morale. Mr. Alexander.
Yeah.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Mr. Sakara.
Yeah,
And Mr. Seal.
Yes,
So 5 in favor, none opposed. And the minutes are approved. All right, so, as an added, item in the agenda, we have, the CEO section, and then we're also gonna have Mr. Baker speak. So, let's, go on with a CEO update first. No,
Nothing to say.
nothing to say. Okay, good. So then Mr. Baker have the floor.
Well, I just, wondered whether there was any particular date that, Colin said, I think there's one in his email that he couldn't make. But he could make 3 out of the 4 dates. I think 2 of them were February.
Yeah, he could not be here first week of February.
Pardon me?
He could not be here first week of February.
Oh, first, that's right, he's Fisher. Okay, so we could go, one of our 2 meetings in January or the second one in February. At least that was his schedule open at that point. So I need to get back to him. And I also would like some further discussion. I've kind of changed my thoughts on, the issue is whether we invite other towns to participate, Rome, Sydney, or whatever, to come and take advantage of his training. The other day I said, well, probably ought to do just our town, because our ordinance is a little different than other ordinances and stuff. At the same time, I guess I kind of thought Colin's coming out here, he doesn't get paid for that, it's not like he gets comp time for it. I'm thinking that the more towns he can address, the better for him, his time wise, efficiency or whatever. And, I'm not sure we shouldn't notify a few surrounding towns and let them know that he will be here that day. And the third thing is how we're looking for kind of a PowerPoint training session with questions and answers. I know with non-conformance should be a significant part of this discussion. I guess my thought is I could review the ordinance and tell him kind of the things that we typically run into with questions or uncertainty, have him address that. So anyway, I guess the first question is, Hans, could we pick any of those dates and it'd be okay at this point?
I'm thinking let's go with second meeting in January.
Second meeting in
And,
January?
we'll keep the schedule clear, so it'll be just Colin.
Mhm.
And,
No, I'll contact him tomorrow.
and figure out who do we want to invite, just planning boards or CEOs, town managers, and how broad you want to get on the invitation.
So, I'll let you hear what the whole board want to say about that. It just, I know that I heard from, members of the Rome Planning Board, asking if they can come over and visit with us to one of our meetings, just to sit and see how things flow here. They want to have a sense for that. And then, because they asked about that, this just happened recently, a Rome Planning Board member asked me about that. And this opportunity came about, I said, well, maybe if Collins is coming for the presentation, we can invite him over at that time, and, I mean, I guess I didn't realize that town to town, the ordinances have different flavors. So, having the two planning boards together might make sense or might not make sense. I mean, visiting, I mean, when I say, when we're doing
As
this,
a practical matter, what's the seating capacity of this room?
Good point.
maybe 10, 15.
Cause I mean, we definitely, of course, will be here.
Okay.
We'll wanna invite the Board of Appeals, right? I doubt many would come, but I think would be a nice gesture to invite the select board in Warna. So that, you know, what's that leave for the other towns for seating capacity?
How many people on the Board of Appeals?
5, 6, maybe with an alternate.
7. Okay,
I mean, I don't know who would show up. I mean, that's always a big question, but
That was my initial thought. It probably wouldn't be a big crowd, but
Well, it's a public meeting, what if the citizens find out, you got a swarm of people that.
no, it's not gonna be open to the public. It's by invitation only.
well, yeah, I mean, we're really talking about who are we gonna invite, not who's just gonna show up because,
my thought was if you invite other town type things, it would be the planning board.
Only.
Not get into the other towns, boards of appeals,
Yeah.
selectmen and stuff like that.
I was only talking about Belgrade's
There's probably will do that.
Board
How
of
about
Appeals.
the code enforcement officers?
And there's
of the
ones
town?
who, yeah.
Only.
Well, this is the thing, Colin said that the DEP got the CEOs really lined up, it's not a problem. That usually the problem with understanding of this kind of ordinance is with the planning board members.
Yeah, code officers have their own training that, they have to go through and Colin does as part of the state planning office, CEO, I don't even know who does the CEO.
Economic and Community Development, I think, does it, yeah.
Can I interject a minute from that?
Sure.
And what you're talking about, the planning board members can also go. In the past, that was happening. In the past 3 or 4 years, it hasn't been happening. Prior to that, the planning board members would go along with code enforcement officers and all that stuff. So that's how I learned a lot that way myself. Apparently stopped that.
Yeah.
So,
Is there any reason for that?
I don't know, but it's not happening. But in Colin would, you know, and economic development, they would put it all together
Yeah.
down there, at the state house there.
Yeah.
So.
I know.
apparently stopped that.
12 years ago, when I was doing it, that was pretty much just code officers back then, must have been sometime after that.
Well, the planning board, it was mostly code enforcement officers, the planning board members would come and also field board members would come too. And that's when I used to go. And so, let me just think, say a minute, if he, all right, who's paying for Colin coming here? Nobody.
Everybody, the state of Maine, if you will.
All right, okay. How about, if we invited, I'd like to see, do it on more on include all the lakes in our watershed, okay? So you're talking about, you know, Rome, Smithfield, Oakland, and Mount Vernon, those guys. And we could get them in here, just planning board members from those towns. The code enforcement officers are pretty much up on all this stuff, okay? But just planning board members from those towns, and our own particular town, we can invite, the field board and that. Because, and then we could talk, the town manager into giving a certain amount of money to, or some kind of gift to, Colin come out here, you know. We could spend a little money in our budget to make it worth it while and with appreciation too. That's the way.
Technically, you can't give them, you give them 10. As we used to say.
Yeah, no, that would be
You
illegal.
You can't give them any money?
No,
No.
You can.
no, I mean,
Or I can
basically,
cook a paella.
for
Huh?
a state employee that's on salary, this is part of their job.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so there's no, and it would be illegal for him to accept and for us to offer.
Okay.
So,
Going back, I'm thinking, my thoughts are, yes, invite the town of Belgrade as a whole,
mhm,
but just limit it to planning boards
but,
from other towns. And I think we
What-
could easily fit 35 people.
yes, yeah. What about planning boards and CEOs from one time?
And I would say not with other, going back to George's concern about if you started inviting other boards of appeals, code officers, selectmen from other towns, it's possible you get a crowd in there you couldn't fit.
Okay, so we're gonna just stick with planning boards?
Yeah.
And,
If the code officer shows up, we're not gonna keep him.
Well, and-
Yeah, well, Hans doesn't play well with other CEOs, so. Yeah,
This is my turn.
oh God, all this gossip. So I personally would have thought that if we had the opportunity to bring the CEOs here, will be the CEOs from another 4 people from, the other towns, because we're only going by Rome, Smithfield, Oakland, and Sydney,
And Mount Vernon,
and Mount Merton,
that should be it.
not Sydney then.
So, yeah, Sydney, Sydney, Sydney.
Part of it.
Yeah. So it'll be 5 towns, and so 5 times 5, at least,
Oakland's did it too, but they're different, they're a move-back town, so they're different.
Yeah, so Oakland should,
Open
do
it,
they even have a planning board?
oh, yeah.
Oakland, yeah.
Oakland, they
These
do,
laws.
yeah, they do. I'm not sure shoreline zoning is a big deal for them the way it is for us, but
No, it is a big deal.
it is.
Oh, yes.
Same rules throughout the whole state.
What's that?
Shoreline zone rules are the same throughout the state.
No, I know that, but, they don't have anywhere near the amount of shoreline that we do,
I would
Well,
not,
what they got, they're very, very much involved with it.
really.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
interesting. So 5 towns, let's say 5 in the planning board, so it's 25 people, just along with the planning boards. I don't think everybody's gonna show up. And out of that, I would say, if anything, half of that will show up.
You're
And
probably right.
so I would like to extend if you approve, that's your call actually, to invite the CEOs.
Go ahead.
I think it would be good for you to mingle with other CEOs and talk about the boo-boos and that kind of thing.
What, boo-boos?
The wounds and the scars
War stories.
for the war stories. So, so what do you guys think? We should just stay with the planning boards or?
Just the planning board.
Just
Yeah.
planning.
CEO.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so planning
I mean,
boards,
we don't want to turn this into a conference.
okay. And well, certainly we'll invite our Board of Appeals. And we'll invite our Board of Selectmen. And we will gonna invite our town manager.
Yes.
Okay, we're good. So the date is the second week in February.
Assuming it's
January?
still okay with COLA.
Yeah, if it's okay with him.
So we're gonna confirm that first. What
What time?
what date in January is that will be
No, the 18th.
the 18th,
I guess my thought is the time ought to be the same as we.
6 P.M.
normally.
Yeah, 6 P.M. Yeah.
I would, I think we should, give Colin some guidance on what at a minimum we would like to see him address. I mean, if we're putting this on, then we should get first dibs on what he's gonna talk about.
Sure.
And for me, those are some of the questions and problematic issues that have come up, say, in the last year, like maximum structure height, like how do you measure linear distances?
The most practical extent.
How do you- Yes, right, and the issue that was,
And the bunkhouse.
the Richards, application, the sequence. I know he's already addressed that and has some very good diagrams to explain it. Anyway, I'm sure others have other ones, but,
Grandfathering,
Oh,
pardon,
yeah.
grandfathering.
Yeah.
That's shoreline zone.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure there are others, but, cause rather than just him giving a general presentation that may or may not hit the things that we need addressed.
So basically, for me, it's the topics that Mr. Seal addressed, or you said, are the hot topics on this board.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that we wanna call him to concentrate on.
And then, like you said, Rich, the ones that Colin may think of that we don't think of, that he's seen be problematic in other towns. And maybe we haven't even encountered yet. I'm not sure what those are, but, that would be my take on it, for what that's worth.
So building height, greatest practical extent.
Linear,
Linear,
measure linear distances.
Grandfather,
and grandfathering. Any other topics?
You gave 4.
I got them 4, yeah, here.
No,
Building height,
grandfather was the 5th. You gave 4, George. What was the other one?
Building bird,
Really
building
practical.
bird stand.
Practical extent.
the greatest practical extent.
So by grandfather, you mean expansions of grandfather structures? Is that what you're talking about?
Legally existing non-conforming structures.
yeah.
So that-
Yeah,
Legally existing non-conforming structures.
we can get that down the village all the time,
Okay,
Now, you mentioned, George, you mentioned that, name of a resident, you were referring to a particular,
Oh, Mr. Richards, application.
what was that about, again? What was the issue there?
I think you were not here.
and I wasn't there.
And neither was Mr. Baker. These structures, when they're non-conforming, as I said, this is the lake over here and they're close there. When we move it to the most practical extent, we think of that structure like a piece of Lego and we move it all the way back to the most practical extent.
Yeah.
So the expansions, once this move to the most practical extent, that's the first step. The expansions can only happen to the sides of the building.
Right.
They couldn't span to the side of the building. But they added like 12 feet to the front.
Okay, oh, that was on that steep slope there?
No, this is all flat, it was all flat, but
I was there.
the thing is that, it seemed to have the board, or 3 of us. You were here, of course you were here for that one.
Where was
Yes,
it?
you were.
Where was it on the lake? What lake?
It was,
Spalding Point.
Spalding Point, good job.
I wasn't here.
Oh, was
Yeah.
it by the railroad? No.
Yeah.
Spalding Point, that.
You were
Camped
here.
down on the water, but they wanted to move it back.
So our board, usually when we have this, discussions about the greatest practical extent, our board divides. And I think it will be good for all of us to have training on it and then probably try to be more unison if we could.
Yeah.
We can reach that. So I really feel that, there's a gap that training will fill in. And then we'll have more evenness on those kind of discussions.
Yeah.
After that, application was finished, the board was split. I feel so bad, I had to go and walk.
I remember that one.
Now you remember, I had to go out for a walk in the parking lot. So, and actually it's
Yeah.
in 2.5 years that I've been here, is the only application that we have turned down.
That's right.
Because other applications, when we get to the point that it's not gonna pass, either, Mr. Alexander get his pen and start, oh, to make that work, you gotta do this, and you gotta do that, and change this length and this width, and we're gonna pass it, and things work out, and we were not able to gel together to make that happen for this applicant.
And he's considering going into field board. and
That's
doing-
right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Has anyone heard whether or not he's doing that?
He's waiting for the minutes
Okay.
and, he asked me to do a summary for him, but we're only gonna send the minutes and the findings of facts.
Yeah, we're
Correct.
gonna find it as a,
Huh?
we didn't do findings of fact.
We did. That was the first application where I knew that it was kind of would not wanna pass, and I challenged that. And Mr. Baker, Mr. Baker said, you have to do the findings of facts, close that up, and, because that's the documentation, the only documentation that they're gonna have about the permit, about the application. So anyways, so that said, I think we're in good shape. So we got a date, we got the topics. I'm gonna put a little email to remind everybody about the topics and so on, if eventually this, you get the email and said, oh, would you add this other topic, you guys can reply to Mr. Baker with additional topics. Does that work? All right, good. So that said, then, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn,
Make a motion to adjourn.
all right? Who seconded?
Second.
And we are voting, Mr. Sakara,
Yes.
Mr. Sergeant,
Yes.
Mr. Seal,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
And Saranga will say yes, and we adjourn. 8:13.